welcome to Wednesday, when we play Umineko. I'm going to try to be short about the intro today, because I did some calculating, and I can, in fact, finish the series on the 5th of October, which is the day the Rokanjima incident happens. So, in honor of the series, I'm gonna try to aim for that, which does mean that I have to keep it kind of snappy. So with that in mind, here are our content warnings, because this is a pretty intense story, as you might have noticed already. You probably have noticed already. And it is a horror game, at heart, so. Content warning 4. Character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, child abuse, discussion and mentions of incest, though these will be minor, and have no detail, discussion and mentions of suicide, and misogyny. Some of these will come up this episode, some of them won't. It's because I don't know how quick I read, it'll be hard to predict, as always, but, look after yourself and step away if you need to. Alright. Hello, Kat, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. I'm hyped for the end, and also kind of dreading it, because I know it's coming up, and some of it's gonna be rough for me to read. I won't say more than that, but yeah. I'm glad you're doing good. No rough, only smooth. Oh, I wish. Maybe it'll be okay. I'm sure it'll be okay somehow. Alright, so what happened last time was the killer of Berncastle's game was revealed. It turned out to be Rudolph, Kiria, and Battler. Which, those are the killers. They won the game. Hooray. Moving on, right? Except Ange was somehow transported into this world and saw it all happen, saw it all go down, but wasn't able to interact with anyone. It was like kind of like she was watching a 3D movie, or a 4D movie, I guess. No, that would be with touch. 3D movie it is. However, at some point, goats started breaking in and almost killing her in the process, because those were 4D goats. They could touch her and hurt her. And they sure as hell tried to eat her. But Erika shows up unexpectedly and saves Ange from becoming goat food. Ava Beatrice also showed up to help her out, and they got her back to safety. At which point, she ended up talking to Berncastle again, who essentially, together with Featherine, kind of ganging up on her a little bit, tried to convince Ange that, no, you need to keep searching for the truth, the one and only truth. You need to be ready for it. Even if it hurts, because it's the truth, it's the most important thing. And your brother's trying to keep it from you, on purpose. And, this isn't some pleasant reunion between family. No. This is a fight. He is your enemy. You need to win. That's basically what they try to tell her. And with that, they kind of send her back to the island, to Balor's game, which is still running. Erika finally has a redeeming quality, you're right. Finally did something that we can be happy about. No longer just here to be hated. But boy, do we love to hate her. So yeah, things are looking to get a little tense, is how I'll put that. And with that, she is easy to hate, it's true. With that, I'm gonna continue reading. The discussions over Berncastle's reasoning game were getting heated at each of the tables. At some point, Each table had started competing to see which could solve it first. Burncastle. Haven't Ange and Erika arrived yet?
They should be here any moment. Want to make a bet on who arrives first?
I can understand Erika being late, but what about Ange? Just what kind of pit did you toss her into this time?
How rude. She was sitting on a sofa, sipping tea.
Hopefully the sort of tea you drink suits Ange's tastes. Ah yes, Burncastle also kept complaining that the tea is bad. Good point.
How rude. That tea would suit anyone's tastes. Erika would even lick the last drop of my tea from the bottom of a miso soup pot.
Specific. How does miso soup come into this picture? Good question, Battler. I would also like to know. Huh, now that you mention her, Erika. This will be a long-awaited, awaited reunion. Yeah, come to think of it. Can't wait to see how long it'll take her to solve Burncastle's game.
This sort of game is what that kid's best at. She'll probably read it from start to finish 3 times, then just say the answer right away.
Probably. I look forward to seeing her give the correct answer immediately with that smug look on her face. You're right, she's thirsty to please her master, and thirsty for tea apparently as well. Speaking of tea. Oof, nope, that is still too hot. Alrighty then. And miso soup, true. Come now, this is Erika we're talking about. She'll probably pull out some twisted logic and say that it was possible for someone other than Battler's family, which is exactly what she did last time. Good point. In fact, I'd like to hear her proud, twisted logic even more than the right answer. Apparently, Battler and Beato were looking forward to their reunion with Erika. They had already dueled with Erika in 2 separate games, but now, there was no distinction between foe and allies. They truly wanted to welcome her to this after-show party as a friend. They're a lot more forgiving than I am.
Still, it's a bit unexpected.
What is?
You know, it's surprising that you'd let Ange go this easily.
Making sure that Battler and the others couldn't see her face, Lambda Delta sniggered.
Is it really so surprising?
Of course it is. I thought that, being you torture Battler with one tough puzzle after another before releasing her. Or that you at least tried to give Ange some weird ideas and have her turn the game around in the end. And I thought I knew you better than anyone else in the world. So embarrassing that I was wrong.
I'm sure it is. But don't worry. You obviously do know me better than anyone else in the world.
Yeah, of course. After all, I love, adore, and understand you more than any other person in the universe.
Lambda Delta was flustered by Burncastle's apparently friendly words, which were very rare coming from her. Battler-sama, pardon me for interrupting your conversation. Ange-sama has returned. Oh, she's back? Great. So, is she okay? It seems that she was soaked by the rain, but Kumasawa is bringing her a towel now. When Battler heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then, he turned to face Burncastle, showing her a forced smile as though apologizing for still suspecting her just a little. Berncastle showed no reaction and simply continued to wear a blank expression with a slight smile. Ange-sama has returned.
I'm back.
Battler! Ange's back. Ange. Wonderful. I was worried. Ange stared at Battler as he dashed towards her with a relieved smile. Her expression seemed somehow indifferent.
That Battler. Looks like he thought I had you hanging by chains in a cave or something.
No. I didn't think you'd go that far.
I was just having some tea at the house of one of Berncastle's friends. It was delicious.
Were there any dried plums or miso soup in it?
Why would there be?
Ange spoke bluntly. As Ange spoke bluntly, she walked right past her brother and exchanged a few whispered words with Berncastle. What is it, Battler? Huh? Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. If he said that his little sister being cold to him had left him feeling forlorn, Beato would either laugh at him or scratch him. After all, Ange was a girl at a tender age. She might be in a bad mood for reasons that a man like him couldn't understand. Taking note of this, and having satisfied himself that Ange was okay, he made to walk away. Battler, Ange's calling for you. Huh? Oh, sorry.
I've been trying to get your attention for a while. Don't ignore me.
I wasn't really ignoring you. What's going on with you anyway? You've looked like you're in a bad mood for a while now. I imagine Berncastle gave her something strange to drink and pretended it was just a rare sort of black tea.
I have no business with you. Back off for a bit, would you? I want to talk to Oni-chan alone.
Come. I may not look hidden, but I am the wife of the territory lord. When it comes to valor, I am far more... Sorry, Beato. Would you mind leaving for just a bit? By now, Valor had realized that Ange's issue was more than just a slight bad mood. Beato puffed out her cheeks as though she wanted to say something back. However, she just let out a sigh and walked away. Is this okay?
It is. After all, this game is between me and you, right? I'm the player. You're the game master. No matter how many pieces get between us, in the end, it's still a direct battle between you and me.
Well, it's true that I'm the game master, but it's not like I'm fighting against you or anything. This final game was held so you could be invited to the Dokonjima of 1986.
Games are played to decide who wins and who loses. It's not called a game unless you have foes and allies. Don't try to trick me.
What are you talking about all of a sudden?
You had me totally fooled. At first, I actually thought you'd take me to that day in 1986. But that wasn't true. This has all been a farce you created, hasn't it? You're using this sentimental tale to dodge the issue and leave me confused. You're trying to chase me out into a lonely future with nothing but this lukewarm happiness as a parting gift. There's just one thing I've been after since the beginning. What happened on the Rokanjima that day? And the only answer you gave me was this game. This sentimental party of illusions. Your answer to my question is beyond clear at this point. I want the truth, and you have no intention of telling me.
Ange, listen, you've got it wrong.
Don't try and trick me. I know now that this game is the final fight between me and you. Me searching for the truth of that day, and you trying to hide that truth behind an illusion. It's exactly the same. The setup is no different than those fights between you and Beato. It wouldn't have been much longer before I was chased out of the game board with everything still vague and fuzzy because of you. Well, sorry, but I've already figured out that this game is a battle. Don't think you'll trick me so easily anymore.
Ange's shouting tore apart the peaceful atmosphere. The family members and the residents of Fantasy gulped and watched the scene, wondering what was going on. Beato tried to run up to battle her, but he motioned for her to stay back. What is it you want?
There's only one thing I've ever wanted. The truth of Rokanjima in 1986. That's all I'm looking for.
The truth is sealed within the cat box. It can't be reached by someone outside the cat box like you.
Is that why you're trying to palm me off with this sentimental illusion?
Yes, this is an illusion. However, I wanted you to remember the spun atmosphere, the harmony within your family. It's not about what happened on that island that day. I wanted you to remember the warmth of these family conferences, a warmth you forgot about.
That's just an illusion you're trying to impose on me. I reject that and deny it completely.
The truth of 1986 doesn't exist. The cat box is empty inside. You're looking for something that isn't there.
I won't be tricked anymore. The truth of that day does exist. It was written down by the sole survivor and preserved to this very day.
Valor's expression faltered for just an instant, and Ange didn't miss it. So, he was hiding it after all. Oni-chan has been hiding the book of the single truth from me.
Aunt Ava, for the first time since your death, I'd like to express my gratitude. Because you wrote down what happened that day, you gave me one last chance at learning the truth.
Ange-chan, you have to listen to me. Everything I wrote in that diary is nonsense, so it doesn't...
There's no point trying to deceive me. Your diary has the truth of that day written in it. It's already been proven with the red truth.
Absurd. Who could possibly use the red truth besides Balor, the Game Master?
It's hello, Aurora, isn't it?
That's right. The Book of the Single Truth exists in 1998, the world of the future. Who else could perform the crucial role of confirming its contents with the red truth?
I heard everything from Burncastle. I've been fooled by you long enough. I don't want some sentimental illusion. I want the real truth. And no matter how hard you tried to cover it up in 1986, I can expose it in 1998. After all,
You're the Beatrice of 1986, Oni-chan.
and I am the Beatrice of 1998.
A cyclone rose up around Ange. It was a golden swirl of gold butterflies, just like the Golden Witch Beatrice.
I am Ange Beatrice of 1998, the final Golden Witch. No witch of the past can defeat a witch of the future.
The cyclone of gold broke apart, and as gold leaves scattered across the room, the final witch who would inherit Beatrice's name in the future appeared. Ah, new outfit. And she aged like 6 years in a second. So that means I don't have to do the kid voice anymore, which is very good for my throat. Thank you, Ange. Ange Beatrice.
You are the golden and endless witch. I'm not. I'm the witch of golden truth. No illusion can stand in my way. Your boring party is over, Oni-chan. Now it's time for my party to start. I've even readied a game to liven things up. You're up, Aunt Ava.
Huh? When Ange snapped her fingers, she vanished among a swirl of gold butterflies. In her place, in the middle of the cyclone, a girl wearing a dress appeared, bowing modestly. This dress will do that to you, true. It does age you by years.
You. That's pretty rude, you know. Inviting everyone to the party except me.
You're Ava.
The sole survivor of Rokenjima. And the witch of the future. The golden, endless witch from 1986 to 1998. In the world of the future, Valakun, your sappy illusion is more fragile than a flake of snow on a lake. Okay, let's have some fun. Come, try to remember. All of you. Remember your endless theory making.
When Ava held her hand to the heavens, light gathered there and took the form of a bottle. Yes, a bottle. A glass bottle with no label. There was no alcohol inside. Sealed within it was a fragment that let off a pale, sinister light.
Battler, this is bad. She must not smash that bottle. It's showtime.
The bottle was slammed against the floor and smashed to pieces. As soon as the fragment within it touched the outside air, it flashed white and burst. At first, it seemed that nothing had happened. However, Ava grinned at them before becoming a cloud of butterflies and vanishing. Come to think of it, Burncastle was gone as well.
What did she do?
It was probably a fragment she brought back with her from the world of the future. Perhaps we could call it the contents of the cat box in the future.
So, what does that mean? What now?
At that moment, they heard a tremendous hiss. It was as though large chunks of hail had started falling everywhere. An earthquake accompanied that noise, and the whole mansion groaned. Dust began to fall from the ceiling. At the same time, it seemed as though the curtain-covered window glowed with a pale light.
What on earth is going on? Kiria, look outside. What the hell is that?
Everyone rushed to a window in response to her voice. Of course, Valor and Beata went too. Ooh, I'm sorry. This is a very serious situation and bad thing that's happening, most likely. But it looks so pretty. Then, they drew the curtains, looked at the scene outside, and were stunned into silence. Okay, it's not just me. How beautiful. Kinzo's words spoke for the first impression felt by all who looked out the windows. Not all beauty is benign.
They always say that beauty has thorns, you.
Though everyone found the scene beautiful, it gave them all an ominous feeling. Outside the window, countless small objects, crystal fragments glowing pale blue, lay strewn about everywhere like fallen hail. The word fantastical perfectly summed up the scene that lay before them in the glowing rose garden.
Just now, I saw something move over there.
Hey, Hey, is there someone over there? Over there, even. Is there someone over there? There we go. It's not supposed to sound like a question, you know?
Wait,
Huh?
a person just grew out of that glowing fragment. 7 Sisters of Purgatory, battle formation.
With those words of Lucifer's, everyone finally realized that they were surrounded by danger. The big buff goats are back? Oh shit. One by one, the countless fragments shook and burst, and large, dark bodies rose up from inside each. They were giants with goat heads. One after another, they appeared from the insides of broken fragments. The realization that the countless fragments lying all over the rose garden were responsible for the blue glow covering the entire area sent a wave of cold terror rushing over all present. Oops.
45, wide area surveillance. My radar's filled with white. We're either being jammed or the vast number of readings is making a count of enemy numbers impossible.
Even as she said this, the glowing rose garden outside the window was filling with giant goats. The fragments carrying the goats weren't just in the rose garden. They were spread evenly across the entire island. Not just the rose garden, but the entire area around the mansion had to be half covered with goats by now.
For your attention, know that we are completely surrounded.
Yeah, we noticed.
What will you do now, Battler?
Only one thing to do with uninvited guests, and that's show them the door. Who are these people? I'm guessing these aren't your minions, right, Beata?
The goat forms they hold are probably just imitations of the pieces on this game board.
They aren't Elich's earliest minions. This is something worse. I see a manifestation of the messages within the bottles. Messages within the bottles? Beato's message bottles. No. These fragments are delusions from the people of the future.
Endless possibilities are hidden within the cat box.
Because of that, those outside the box can imagine the insides to be any one of an infinite number of things. It would seem those endless delusions are the true nature of these creatures. What will those goats do to us, I wonder? It doesn't look like they're coming to give us a handshake and a pat on the back. Those people. They're lowlifes, making up and passing around stories, imagining the tragedies that might have unfolded for us on this island. They found it so interesting that I never talked about the truth, that they kept on creating tragedies one after another for their own enjoyment. I see. So, they're fragments of the future, containing delusions about the 1986 cat box. In the future world, any and all interpretations can and do exist. Unless we deny them, each will be able to call their own views the truth, and they will remain on this island. What a fix we're in. Looks like we're surrounded and fighting for our lives. Well, at least someone's having a good time. What are they doing?
They're eating. They're eating something.
They're eating the roses? The squirming crowd of goats was busily doing something. If you looked closely, you could see them sticking their heads into the rose bushes and munching away. And it wasn't just the rose bushes. Light poles, the bricks of the flower beds, and even the stone paving itself, they were biting all of it. Almost as if they were trying to eat up the whole island.
No, they aren't just eating.
If they aren't eating, then what are they doing? What they are doing is not eating. They are eroding, shaving away the game board itself. They're eating the game board? In the future world, everyone believes that we were swallowed up by tragedy today. That's why they won't accept the truth where we enjoy ourselves in peace. The truths of the past are inferior to truths of the future. The merciless future and jaws of those goats refuse to accept our truth and are eroding it, replacing it with the truth they wish to see. Damn it. This is our truth. It's not for those people in the future who have nothing to do with us anyway to rewrite as they please. I don't like that. That was creepy. The garden outside the window was now filled with too many goats to count, all chewing away. This repulsive scene stole the words from everyone's lips. They weren't just stunned into silence. There was no point in making a fuss and letting the goats know for no reason. No point in letting them know that there was plenty of prey waiting in this bright, warm room. Prey that was softer and more satisfying to chew than roses or bricks. That goat there, he's looking at us. Silence. Don't make a fuss. It's coming this way. Isn't this bad? Yes, Nanjo, it's very bad. I guess that's one way if you don't like the outcome of a chess match, instead of flipping the board, try eating it. Might just work. They saw one of the newly born goat heads slowly towards the... They saw one of the newly born goats head slowly towards their window. There was already a huge swarm of them in the garden, so it was no surprise that when one of them looked around for new prey, you would see the light from this window. Its immense, eerie body slowly approached. As it grew closer, they could finally see its disturbing form clearly. The eyes blazed, and yet were still cold, ruthless, and reptilian. The cruel fangs and jaw could tear apart and crush anything. Any fangs that could chew through brick would hardly have a problem chewing through humans. Its massive body had to be taller than the windows themselves, and it was lumbering towards this window. This window isn't made out of special Ishiramiya bulletproof glass by any chance, is it? I doubt even bulletproof glass would stop that thing. It's coming! It's coming! It's coming toward us!
For your attention, know that this window shall not be breached.
The power of Cornelius' seal formed a shield around the glass. The goat was blown back, unable to even touch the glass because of its power. Its weight made the earth tremble. They could feel that clearly, even inside. New music, yeah. But that tremor had also drawn the attention of the nearby goats. A pack of goats started shuffling closer, and then, realizing that they were in competition for this new prey, the pack quickly broke into a thundering charge. The window protected by Cornelius' seal would probably be safe. However, there were many windows in the Great Hall. For the first time, those windows became a source of terror instead of sunlight and a lovely view.
Gertrude.
For your attention, know that this window shall not be breached. Gertrude sealed another window. The goats trying to break in through that one were thrown back. But at the same time, those inside the building heard the terrible crash of a third window being shattered. Scattering fragments of glass everywhere, the massive goats broke through the window frame and entered the building. Get back! Everyone, get back! Oh my god, it's so big. On the first Twilight, sacrifice the 6. Those words really were coming from the goat's mouth, along with steaming, foul breath. However, it didn't get a chance to say any more. Forehead, neck, shoulder, chest, side, gut, knee. The stakes of the 7 sisters buried themselves in deep, one after another.
What rough, unappetizing flesh for piercing. I just couldn't bear to gobble up any more of these.
Several other windows shattered one after another, and goats squeezed their way in through the window frames. Their mouths were still stuffed with the bricks they had just been snacking on. Each time they chewed, it made a ghastly sound like bones being crushed. We will repel them. Jester troops, prepare for close-range combat. Hold on. You start firing away and we'll have all the other goats coming to join the party.
Let's fall back to the second floor. If we can seal the staircase, that'll buy us some time.
Everyone, upstairs.
Hurry.
After sniffing noisily as though scanning the smells around them, the goats started chewing on whatever chairs, tables, or curtains were close by. The goats would chew anything to bits, as long as it was near them. If the others were careful not to attract the goats' attention, they would be able to escape from this place. The humans ran on ahead up to the second floor, while the fantasy creatures, who were used to fighting, guarded the rear. The goats were completely absorbed by their all-consuming feast in the hall. Even the portrait of Beatrice, which might have been called the symbol of the whole Ushiromiya family, had now been brutally chewed up.
Battler, the humans have all taken refuge on the second floor.
Good. Flanor, seal all the staircases.
Gertrude and Cornelia will handle it. However, they need more time.
Loud beating sounds. Whether that could be called knocking was unclear, and sounds of shattering glass could be heard from all parts of the mansion. Well now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for work.
Seven Sisters of Purgatory, right here. Let's go, you lowlifes. Tonight, it's all you can eat. Giester troops, halt all external tasks. Cancel automatic updates, accept no data, take no prisoners. Eiserne Jungfrau of the 7th District. By the Territory Lord's order, carry out your duty.
I'll lend a hand. Leo, you're in the way. Go up to the second floor.
But, Will, leave this to us and go. You have your own job to do. Protect your family.
I understand.
Everyone, stay safe.
He does have his arm back. Did they gloss over that? Did they not mention if, when, and how he got his arm back? The mansion was filled with the sounds of bashing, crushing, smashing, and chewing. The goats in their wave of destruction were drawing steadily closer.
Lord Battler, Gertrude and Cornelia have finished sealing the other staircases. The large staircase here is the only one that remains. The other staircases are tiny, so they went fast. On the other hand, this staircase is huge. Looks like you'll have your hands full buying time.
Lambda Delta spoke as though it was someone else's problem. It only took a glance at her face to see that she had no intention of lending a hand. Even so, Beato didn't scold her. This was a game between Battler and Ange. Lambda Delta was only a theater-goer who had been invited.
Don't think badly of me. Even I'd die if I was torn apart by nothingness. Sorry, but I think I'll stick to being an observer.
That's what you've always been. Though it is a shame that we can't ask for your help. Nah, she's being nice. Doesn't want to steal our show.
Sure, let's say that's the reason.
As a Voyager witch, Lambda Delta could retreat from this game board of battlers if she wanted to. In other words, she was the only one who wasn't in trouble now.
See you later. I think I'll watch this game between you and Burn till the end. I'll be rooting for you.
As you munch on popcorn,
Of course. I think I'll have some soy sauce butter flavor today.
Lambda Delta vanished with a pop. Soy sauce, butter flavor popcorn. I don't know what that would taste like, but I don't think it would be to my liking. Mostly because I don't like popcorn very much. I've also never had Marmite, so I don't know if that would be something I would enjoy or not. But hey, you know, you could put anything on popcorn. Live your dreams. Yeah, it's not much of a thing here, so... Never got the chance. As soon as she did, a black hole opened up in midair and Gap, our queen, fell out of it.
Battler, Liqian,
Could you come here for a second? Hey, you should probably see this. Right now?
yes.
Let's go. Everyone, we're counting on you to hold this position. It's yeasty, salty, with tar consistency. You would love it. It's the best food ever. Those sound like two completely unrelated sentences to me. But fair enough. When Gap snapped her fingers, a large hole opened up under Balor and Beato, swallowing them both. I am convinced, yeah. When it spat them back out again, they were in an inky black sky above this wonderful new CG that we've been blessed with. Both of them are floating in the night sky. They could see Okanjima far beneath them. And as soon as they realized this, they shuddered. This is... It's not a crowd. It's a sea. It was no longer a crowd of goats, but an entire sea of them. Just as Okanjima poked out from the ocean, the mansion was now poking out from a sea of goats. People in the future really are amazing. Just how many of them have imagined the tragedy on this island? They're nothing more than worthless drivel up from outside the cat box. Let's clean this place up. Now look over there. It's hard to tell, but look at the shoreline. The shoreline? It's easy to see near the harbor. Look closely. See it? Don't tell me. Yeah, you're probably right. They're eating it. Eating the whole island.
Come, try to remember fragments of the future. Why don't you just chew up all the ostentation, all the illusions, all the fantasy, forever?
As Ava yelled this to the heavens, hovering above the raging sea, hail fell down with a pale glow. Each one was a bottle with no label and a fragment inside. They poured onto the island, smashing into bits and scattering the fragments inside them everywhere. Every now and then, one of those fragments would split in two, then split in two again. And every single one of those fragments burst and gave birth to a massive goat. To say it was like bamboo shoots springing up after the rain would be a vast understatement. The goats writhed about like bubbling, boiling water in a pot. They ate away at everything they saw. They didn't just eat the harbor, but the trees and rocks, the entire coastline itself. Hundreds, thousands, no, tens of thousands of goats continued to eat. They were chewing away at every bit of the Rokanjima, of this final game that Valor had prepared.
Too bad, Valor-kun. The future wants a tragedy on this island. Even Ange wants the truth. We'll just chew up all the ostentation, illusions, and fantasy for them.
By now, Valor and the others had to admit it. The future wanted a tragedy. Even if the truth of this island had been a gentle, peaceful thing. The future didn't want that. The truth they wanted was painting over the past. The past is such a fragile thing. Even the cat box is being chewed apart. Just who are these people? Are they really so determined to throw us into a tragedy?
That's all I wanted to show you. Hopefully, this will be useful for making a strategic decision.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to that, I feel just awful now.
Then let's go to the study next, if you don't mind. Goldsmith wants to talk to you.
Gap snapped her fingers, and another black hole swallowed them up and spat them out in the study.
Ow. Gap, if you're gonna drop me, at least do it on a bed.
Grandfather, we're in trouble. There's absolutely nowhere left to go. I know. And even waiting out the storm from here is not an option.
Ronove and the others should be able to buy us some time, but that's all.
If they just holed up in the mansion and fought from there, it would only be a matter of time before the swarm of goats got them. Trying to repel a few of the goats who barged into the mansion would be like using a cup to bail water from a boat with a hole in it.
We could fight defensively for a while, but then it would only be a matter of time.
We need to think of something while we fight. Can we escape? Where to? Is there any way for us to leave the game board?
Outside the game board is outside of our territory. Only a Voyager witch could leave it.
Only Burncastle and Lambda Delta could do it. However, there was no way Burncastle would help. Even Lambda Delta had already announced that she would be an observer instead of lending a hand. So, there's nowhere left to run. No, there is just one place.
Where?
The Golden Land.
I see. Is that our only option now?
Indeed. The Golden Land is the most impenetrable place on this game board. If we wish to escape, it's that or nothing.
These things are eating the catbox itself. For all we know, at any moment they could start chewing away at the Golden Land as well. What should we do, Peddler?
Not hesitate. We're retreating. If we take too long to make a decision, even that road will be closed to us. Let's evacuate everyone. How can we open the door to the Golden Land?
I just have to open it. However, an immense cloud of the anti-magic toxin is emanating from that crowd of goats. It will take some time to open the door.
So, we've only got to protect this study with our lives until the door is open. Just have to keep doing what we've been doing.
There's one more problem. The door to the Golden Land cannot be shut unless two people close it from the outside.
Two from the outside? What do you mean? As soon as he said this, Valor realized. This must be an agreement made between the three witches who are one. Normally, there's no need to go to the trouble of shutting the door. We can't do that this time, though. Only you and Beato can fulfill the role of shutting the door. Me, the Territory Lord, and Beato. It does seem to be the safest choice. Indeed. If it's just the two of us, we might even be able to protect ourselves. Okay, open the door. Beato waved her pipe, leaving a golden trail behind as she sliced the air vertically. Then, the gap of the door to the Golden Land appeared. It looked like nothing more than a thin golden string hanging from the ceiling. If you looked closely, you could see that the string was getting thicker, very slowly. The door to the Golden Land certainly was opening, but so slowly that you couldn't even tell if you weren't careful. At this rate, it would probably take quite some time before it grew big enough to let a person through. Grandfather, Gap, we'll need you to be our inner line of defense. Yes, there may be goats climbing up the outer walls. Very well. My rifle is hungry for some prey. Understood. It'll be fun dropping those things into the abyss. Oh shit, Kinzo has a gun. The giant was sliced at an angle, split into two parts, and then fell to the floor, showering it with filthy dark blood and guts. Splendidly done. I'll let you have the next one. Countless massive goats, which had forced their way in from rooms and windows all across the mansion, wandered about in search of something to chew. Several of the goats noticed the group of people huddled around the staircase and lumbered closer, but they were pulverized by merciless attacks. Donova's shields easily halted the charging of the goats, and Virgilia's magic spears pinned the giants against the walls. Valanor's and Will's blades also sliced the goats effortlessly in two. The pinpoint strikes of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory could pierce the vitals of and finish off any opponent, no matter how large. The Jester Sisters were holding their own too. One shot from their high-caliber firearms blasted so many ghosts to bits that you couldn't count the kills with both hands. They would have been more than a match for a limited number of opponents. However, they weren't just up against a crowd, but an entire sea. It was like a pebble trying to face the approaching waves of a stormy sea. Hurry on that gun barrel replacement. Requesting cover from the Purgatory troops.
You've run out of bullets and you're nothing but rabbits. Lame. I don't want to hear that from a bunch of 7 paperweights that can only kill one person at a time, yeah.
Yeah, keep them coming. Don't let us get bored. Sorry if that was loud, it's just Satan yells all the time. That's just how I do the voice, I don't know. Always full-blown yelling, angry. It's her entire personality, and I love her so much for it. The hall was filled with the corpses of massive goats. as if in fear of this sight. The goats that came in one after another formed a wall, keeping their distance. Yep, Satan's super reliable in that sense. Perhaps they think that they're no match for us. That's not what Virgilia sounds like. Or is it? Let's just roll with it. I wish that were true, but it seems to be little more than wishful thinking. What are those guys doing? They're looking at us and whispering to each other.
Apparently, they have enough intelligence to talk with each other and cooperate.
The goats were surrounding them at a distance and whispering to each other. Then, they nodded at each other as though deciding something, and the whole group stirred. What are they doing? It almost looks like they're lining up in a different order.
The enemy is changing its formation. It appears that the individuals with greater destructive power are being gathered in the front lines. And so what? Let's go! Yes, One-sama. Wait, something's wrong.
Lucifer took aim at one of them, going for its forehead. The other 6 sisters followed her lead, trying to pierce the vital organs all over the creature's body. However, there was no sound of pierced flesh. The 7 sisters of Purgatory were knocked back, unable to cause even the smallest wound.
What? What just happened? Those guys are talking about something.
The goats kept whispering the same thing, over and over, as they slowly approached the 7 sisters. All of them whispered unanimously. All fantasy is fictional. The 7 sisters of Purgatory are personifications of stakes for ceremonial sacrifices, mere creatures of fantasy. They're actually paperweights. As they whispered curses that denied the 7 sisters' existence, the goats lumbered closer.
Get back, Purgatory troops. We'll cover you.
It's time you learned a lesson, goats. The golden bows of the Chester troops mowed down the wall of goats with a shower of bright golden bullets. Some of the goats were torn to pieces, but some of them seemed completely unaffected. Then, the goats who were uninjured all whispered as one. The Chester sisters' Imperial Guards have Maria's rabbit dolls as their vessels. They're actually rabbit dolls. Maria's imagination, fantasy, fictional beings. All of the crimes can be explained by mystery. All fantasy is irrelevant.
Looks like we've got lots of people who won't accept the existence of magic.
And that means no magical attacks will have any effect on them. Does that mean all of our attacks will be completely useless?
Endless 9, yeah. If they don't accept the fact that we exist, our attacks can't hurt them, yeah.
Is that possible? We'll have to test it. Rolava stepped forward, stamped on the floor twice, and a red barrier rose up in front of him. The crowd of goats dashed into it with a terrifying force. While some goats were blown away by it, several of them slipped right through the magical barrier. Ronobu is a creature of magic, a creature of fiction. Genji is Ronobu's vessel, an imaginary version of Genji. I see. So even my attacks will not affect some of them. There was no longer any point in Virgilia trying out her own magic spear. Some of the goats must also have decided that her existence was fictional as well, and she would no longer be able to hurt them. All of these great demons, great witches, high-level furniture, and weapons were overcome with fear of the crowd that surrounded them. A crowd that would not be affected by any of their attacks. What are we going to do? We'll keep fighting until the end. You do not have permission to die in battle. Fantasy is all fiction. Fantasy is all fiction. Fantasy is all fiction. A shriek from one of the goats became a signal for the wall of them to break. They pushed forward with gaping mouths and foul breath, each trying to reach their prey first, trying to return these fictional creatures to nothingness. Look out! Virgilia leapt in front of and held several of the seven sisters, who had fallen on their butts, overpowered by the ferocity of the approaching goats. However, even Virgilia was a fictional creature to these goats. They could chew through her like cotton candy. Madam, quickly! Ronovis threw himself at the oncoming goats. Even he would be chewed apart easily. Knowing this, Ronovis leapt forward. He also got, his own CG for him, punching people. Amazing. What a king. And, technically facts are non-fiction because they're true, I guess? Right? It kind of goes without saying that fantasy is fantasy. The logic error there lies in... you can't have facts in fiction, Molly, you're totally right. But I think the goats make the mistake of saying, fantasy is irrelevant. But we'll get to that later in this, in the story. Even if my magic no longer functions, I am still the fiercely passionate and loyal man I always was. And furthermore, did you expect that I would simply sit by and watch a lady die? Ronave is fantasy. Ronave is fantasy. Ronave slammed his right fist into the side of a goat's face. He has multiple CG. Nice. As soon as he pulled it back, he swung his left leg into the goat's gut, then spun around into a reverse roundhouse that caught the goat again. But Ronave knew. He could do less damage than a mosquito bite against those who didn't accept his existence. This was what it meant to face an anti-magic defense of Endless Nine. Ronave is fantasy, a fiction, an illusion. These goats aren't thinking. Goddamn. The goat swung its log-like fist with a sound like a storm. Ronobe dodged by a hair. If he had been an instant slower, the massive arm would have crushed his head like glass.
Ronobe, stop this. Run.
I, Ronobe, cannot help but rise to the challenge when I see a lady in a pinch. A bad habit of mine. Ronobe grinned and tried to act tough. He had already abandoned everything. There was nothing he could do here and now, except become a shield to buy time. He had already chosen to abandon his life for this. Ronobe's fantasy. He cannot be real. He cannot be real. Those of fantasy do not exist. Do not exist. Fantasy is all puke spittle. Puke spittle. I'm starting to think there was like maybe a better way that the translators could have said, used this word. Because now every time this comes up, I think of Burncastle, and I don't think she's like puppeting the goats, you know, that doesn't make sense. There was probably like a more generic word that wouldn't have stood out so much. I don't know, yeah, it's so noticeable. Oh well. The goats kept coming, trying to feast on Ronobe. None had any pretensions of making this a one-on-one fight. Nothing mattered except chewing apart fantasy, even just a nibble. As they gnashed those ruthless jaws and fangs, they gathered around Ronobe. Ronobe's foot hit something, and he stumbled. In the same instant, several massive arms reached out and lifted him up.
Ronobe-sama!
Sorry, that came out really weird. It's so many voices that my throat's like struggling.
What are you doing, Chesters? Shoot them! We would have done that already if it didn't have any effect, yeah.
Everyone, please stand back. I should be able to buy you some time as they savor my flesh. However, I think they'll find that Ronobe has quite a few little bones in him. What a badass. An elbow rammed itself into the massive, hideous jaws that were trying to chew the rim of his head. Of course, the goat did moan, but that did nothing but deprive just one goat of his right to the first bite of the rim of his head. Many jaws opened wide, trying to crush him and throw him down into those heartless stomachs, which would permit no heartwarming fantasies to exist. I won't accept fantasy. Won't accept. Explaining everything with mystery is possible. Possible. Here they go again. Fantasy is puke spittle. Everything is mystery. All of the many arms lifting Ronobe up were sliced off. The seven sisters used this chance to fly forward and grab Ronobe, dragging him back. Sorry, I'm smiling so hard that I I can't form words while I'm smiling so much. What an entrance, holy shit, she's so cool. Which one of you mentioned mystery? Yes, the smug expression, it's so good. Is Delanor's blade effective? I see. If the opponents are calling it a mystery... Blood-red longsword in hand, Delanor slowly walked forward. Behind her walked Will, tapping his back with his black blade. Well, if you don't think it's a fantasy, then let's hear what your theories are. I cannot wait to hear your opinions. They're so fucking cool! The crowd of goats stepped back. Though they had been so vicious against the fantasy creatures, they stepped back when faced with this pair wielding swords of mystery. There have been a great many locked room murders on this game board. Choose whichever you please and we will parry all of your attacks. No, we don't have to defend anything. Indeed, a mystery is always the source of the challenge. Why should we be forced to play defense? Do you guys get it yet? You are the ones in the hot seat now. I love that Glenor has multiple smug smile faces. Blue Truth cut the goats apart. That blue truth dwelt within each and every one of the riddles in Beato's game so far. What about the locked room with the chain? First game, second Twilight. What about the locked room of the chapel? Second game, first Twilight. What about the trick to killing Nanjo? Third game, ninth Twilight. And there was no end to the blades. The countless riddles Beatrice left behind became blades, challenges that tore the goats apart. If they wanted to deny fantasy, they would have to make a counter-argument. They would have to deal with every single trick as a mystery. However, although the goats spoke words of anti-fantasy, most of them had prepared no answer for the mystery. Well, every now and then, there was a goat who did have an answer. Someone outside the Ushiromiya family was hiding on the island and... Nox is first. It is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the early part of the story. There was multiple culprits all working separately, and it just happened to look like a single culprit. Van Dyne's rule number 12. There must be but one true culprit. You mean everything but that is forbidden? Boring, right? Take a genre like that. Personally, I think mystery should be more flexible. The 10 Nox commandments and the 20 Van Dyne rules are behind the times. The definition of the mystery genre is changing with the era, I think. They're getting rebellious.
Perhaps we are behind the times.
In that case, let's see if you have any theories that can satisfy us.
Come.
The whole crowd of goats charged them. In their fangs, each of them carried theories to crush Beato's locked rooms. The bodies of these goats were different than the ones who had become corpses so easily just now. They had mystery-style answers to several locked rooms, so it would take several blade hits to deal them a fatal wound. However, Beato had left many blades behind. All of them were exceedingly sharp, so the pair of Inquisitors didn't think of this as a desperate battle. This was mystery. The goal of a mystery is to use all your imagination and knowledge to challenge each of its riddles head-on. Doing this is the greatest enjoyment of the mystery genre. So they laughed. Both Will and Glenor laughed. With smiles of admiration at the theories the goats had put everything they had into, they countered with blades from all the locked rooms. The crowd of goats was no longer an encirclement, but a great wave threatening to swallow the pair up. And yet, the pair repelled the enemy without giving an inch. They resisted firmly, cutting through the tsunami of wailing goats. It was like an ice-breaking ship knocking a path through a frozen sea. They entered the locked rooms through a hidden passage that no one else could use, and Nox's third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. After the hidden passage was used, it was welded shut and became unusable, so no hidden passages existed at the time of the inspection. Holy shit.
Nox's eighth. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented.
Glenor is so fucking cool. These are all... I did a goat voice plus Glenor voice. These are all fake murders and no one is actually dead. So, all locked rooms were constructed by the so-called victims. Glenor hesitated for just an instant. After all, this cliched and simple theory managed to get around both Beato's locked rooms and the Nox Decalogue. Glenor saw nothingness inside the goat's massive jaws. Vendine's rule number 7. It is forbidden to have a crime without a corpse. Surely, the jaws of that goat had closed over Glenor's head. However, the upper and lower jaw were no longer connected, so the upper half slid off to the side. Looks like even the great Nox never forbade fake murders.
There are many splendid mysteries besides murder.
The goats didn't give the pair enough time to have a nice long chat about mystery. The next massive figure immediately enveloped them. Will's blade drew a diagonal slash across its chest, but it only cut through its clothes, leaving no wound. The 20 wedges don't work on this one. Glenor also hit it with a longsword, but still, it just cut its clothes without leaving a mark on its body. Could it be that this goat had a theory that didn't violate Nox or Vandine? Nox and Vandine are meaningless. all locked rooms can be undone by a single solution. Because... In an attempt to stop the goat from saying any more, Will and Lano hit it with blades from every locked room, as well as stakes from the 10 Commandments and the 20 Rules, but none of it had any effect. Slowly, the goat clenched its massive fists together and raised them up high. Because...
Will,
With a roar, Will slammed into the goat giant with his body. Though its massive bulk bent back slightly, Will was still leaping into a death trap. However, if he hadn't done so, he wouldn't have been able to protect Lano. The goat grabbed Will. It lifted him up and held him high in the air. It was like a little kid showing off his favorite toy and waving it around. Let's hear your theory. If I'm to hear a great theory before I die, it'll be a fitting end for me. Van Dyne and Nox are useless for making theories. The goat's massive hands closed on Will like a vise. All the bones in Will's body creaked. Let's hear your theory. There is no need for a theory. What? Because making theories for any of Beatrice's games is a waste of time. What do you mean? This isn't an orthodox mystery, so thinking about it is just a waste of time. I won't accept Beatrice's games as a mystery. There are no answers to the tricks. It's all just an illusion. Thinking is just a waste of time. Will's head was lowered, so his face couldn't be seen. However, the arm of the goat holding him was shaking. The embrace of those log-sized arms with superhuman strength was being slowly pushed away by Will's shaking arms. Thinking is just a waste of time? You say that? You call yourself a mystery fan? Mystery is like chivalry. You fight with the noble rules that you've created, with pride in the stance you've taken. Is it worth being a coward if it'll help you win? Does losing make the whole fight meaningless if you fought with everything you had? It isn't about winning and losing. It's about applauding the will to fight even in the most dire circumstances. The goat's arms were now spread wide, and it looked as though Will was now the one pushing it back. Will's face was covered in shadow and couldn't be seen. People like you, who call themselves mystery fans even though they never even tried to solve it like a mystery. You're the ones I really can't stand. Will slammed his forehead into the goat's now unprotected head. If you call yourself a mystery fan, be proud to join a battle of wits. If you call yourself a mystery fan, it's about time you realized. Giving up is nothing to brag about. Will headbutted the goat over and over again. His forehead was gushing blood, torn apart by the goat's fangs, but he kept on headbutting. Van Dyne and Nox may be behind the times. The mystery genre does progress does progress with time, just like the world around it. However, there's one thing that must never change. That is pride. What is a knight proud of? Not victory. He's proud of the courage that lets him stand up to anyone without fear. Will couldn't forgive the kind of coward who could turn tail from a fight and then brag about it. People who call themselves mystery fans but who have no pride were the only ones Will just couldn't bear. The goat, unable to put up with this anymore, threw Will down to the floor. Then, he lifted his fists again, determined to crush Will to pieces this time. Bring it. You probably will beat me to a pulp, but that'll be no victory for you. You'll destroy your own pride with your own hands. Pointless. Pointless. This is no mystery, so why make theories? Thinking is just a waste of time. Useless. 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 Die. 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 Wow, they stole Battler's line, by the way. Not cool. A fist like a cannonball swinging down towards him was the very last thing Will saw before he shut his eyes. If you stop thinking, in this game, that means you lose. Now Battler got his own punch CG as well. This is great. I'm having a great time. Battler smashed his fist into the goat's mouth, and smashed teeth bounced off the ceiling. Holy shit. Battler-sama. If you stop thinking, it means you've given up on the story being a mystery. Which means, as far as you're concerned, this game is a fantasy. Battler lifted up his arm. Realizing this was a signal, Lucifer and Chester00 jumped. You stop thinking. You don't deserve to be an actor on the stage. Stop trying to sound smart. Go sit in the audience and stuff your mouth with popcorn. The goat lifted his fist again, then swung it down at Battler like a hammer.
If you've surrendered to fantasy, well, then that just makes you another target, yeah.
It's the same as acknowledging that we exist.
Begin recognition of hostile elements. Mark all targets vulnerable to magical attacks in our HMDs. Kids who surrender to fantasy get to deal with us.
And if you have a theory, we will hear it out. We'll welcome those people with open arms. Out of respect for them, we won't hold anything back. Oh, but it would seem that this is Battler-sama's time to shine. While I would like to listen to all your favorite theories, both mystery and fantasy, this isn't your game right now. No matter how much you future fragments try to deny us, this is no time for me to be defeated. A golden glint gathered in Battler's hand. It was so bright that the whole hall was bathed in gold, like when he punched someone just now. Golden butterflies flitted about, as though the whole hall was being swallowed up by the golden land. Battler lifted his golden longsword high. Feel free to challenge Beato's game as a mystery or fantasy. I welcome it. But know this. I'm not gonna let you deny this final game of mine. Feel the shame of your indiscretion of impugning the honor of those who passed away. A slice of the golden longsword flooded the hall with a sea of golden light. Then, the whole group of goats filling the hall with noise turned into clouds of gold butterflies and scattered. Even so, only about 100 of them had been wiped out. Before long, the massive crowds of goats outside would probably come pouring in like seawater through a hole in the bottom of the ship. Just a bit longer until the seal is finished. Sorry, but I'll have to ask you to hold out here a bit longer.
Of course, Lord Battler. Otherwise, we wouldn't get to show off.
You know, you two could try fighting just a little.
But we're just the MCs.
Their excessively blunt refusal drew a few strained smiles. However, it had lessened the tension in the room just a bit.
Battler-sama, leave this to us. We won't allow the corrosion to proceed any further. And not one of us will be left behind. Of course, we are all precious pieces on Lord Battler's game board.
The Seven Sisters of Purgatory, the Chester sister groups, troops, and everyone else nodded forcefully. Yeah, I'm counting on all of you. We'll definitely protect this final game I made for Ange. They're managing to hold their ground down below.
The door to the Golden Land is still opening slowly. Will still take some time, though.
There you have it. We'd better start buying some time ourselves. The sea of goats that covered the ground below them was jostling about more and more. By now, even the sea surrounding the island had disappeared. The horizon was gone, and the chewed-up island was now floating on an eerie emptiness-like space. Emptiness-like space. The goats that flooded the edges of Rokentima seemed to be spilling off the sides. Looks like that's it for the game board.
As long as there's a game master and pieces, the game board can always be laid out again. As long as you have two people together, you can create any sort of game.
True. Where on earth is Ange?
Where did you hide it?
That's right, the chapel. What's happened to the chapel?
It's still there.
The chapel looked like a white building floating in the pitch-black sea of goats. Yes, this was strange. There was no way those goats, who consumed everything, would go out of their way to avoid just the chapel. That's where Ange is. Outside the chapel was a sea of goats. Very soon, the earth around the chapel would be eaten away, and it would probably end up floating on nothingness. The rampage of the goats, as they devoured everything and chanted the tragedy they imagined with one voice, truly made a lot of noise. However, none of that reached the inside of the chapel. Ange finally broke the magic seal on the entrance and stepped inside. The seal was supposed to be unbreakable by anyone. However, in the face of Ange Beatrice, Witch of Truth, the one who sought the truth and could sweep aside all forces that prevented her from finding it. No barrier was absolute. There it is. A single book, tightly locked, rested on the altar. It was the hidden diary that Ushinomiya Eva had written in, even in her later years. The book of the single truth. It was the one Featherine had shown her in the world of 1998. This time, I have the key. I gripped the gold key that sat in my pocket, the key Oni-chan gave me. As I approached the altar, I saw that the book of the single truth was wrapped in a strange bending of the light. So, this is that seal of the Game Master that Burntcastle talked about. The book of the single truth was sealed in something like a crystal. It was a seal made by the Game Master's authority. This was on a different level than the breakable magic seal on the chapel door. No matter how Ange used her power as a Witch of Truth, this couldn't be broken by anyone except the Game Master. However, this time, Battler wasn't the only Game Master. So sorry, Oni-chan. Burntcastle is also a Game Master. I just need to take it with me and have her break the seal. Ange slowly approached the altar. Will Ange really do as you say? This is my little sister we're talking about, so yeah, probably not. But then, what will we do? Looks like we've got nothing to go on but brute force. At that moment, a fierce impact hit the pair of them. Beato was flung away, and Battler was sealed inside a massive crystal that extended up to the heavens.
Damn, what the hell is this?
Battler! What is this? It was a barrier, a massive cage of crystal. Battler was shut inside a crystal cage like a tower, so large that you had to look up to see the top. Beato, I need you to take care of Ange. What will you do? Can you break this from the inside all by yourself? Is this a locked room barrier? Who could have... There's only one person who challenged me with a locked room. Looks like our final guest has finally arrived. You don't mean... Go, and take care of Ange. Beato left Battler to handle this on his own, and headed for the chapel. Battler took a deep breath, then smiled daringly. I've been waiting. Was it boring in that depths of oblivion place? The answer was a laugh. Yeah, that's right. That laugh is enough. Looks like you're doing well.
It wasn't boring. After all, I believed.
I'll bet you did. I believe too. He's so extra, holy shit. Battler flung off the cape of the Territory Lord. It would only get in the way. And it would be a rude way to welcome his final guest.
Those dark depths. Just the perfect place to think up mysteries to challenge you with next time
When we met next. When we next met. I can't read, sorry. So, this crystal cage is the ring for our jewel. A chain deathmatch with nowhere to run.
Now that you mention it,
We're always fighting over locked rooms with chains. Then let's use that. Make it a real chain deathmatch.
I'm prepared, but what about you?
I am. I told you, didn't I? I believe too. At the same time, they both brandished their mysteries, sealing the other in a chained locked room. Come, Furudo Erika!
Entertain me, Battle Sean.
What the fuck, Erika? She's speaking in full uwu. Oh my god, it's true. Also, I'm choosing to ignore that comment about them being married. You know, by mentioning it. Still, you get what I mean. At the same time, they were both sealed inside a locked room, locked with a chain. Of course, it was easy to set and unset the chain from the inside. However, stepping into their opponent's chain room would be difficult. They were fighting to the death with two chained locked rooms at once. There could be no better locked room duel for this pair, who had battled with theories concerning chain rooms so often. Furo Erika committed suicide, died in an accident, died of illness, died by some reason other than homicide.
It wasn't a suicide. It wasn't an accidental death. It wasn't a death by illness. I really was killed by you, Battler-san.
It was a murder committed by slipping poison gas through the crack of the door, by filling the room with water and drowning you, by sucking the oxygen out of the room and making you suffocate.
There was no poison gas. There was no drowning. There was no death by suffocation. A locked room with poison gas.
A locked room murder with poison gas.
Death by drowning.
Suffocation. Crazy, right? It's funny, isn't it?
Good. Ushinomiya Battler committed suicide. He died in an accident. He died by illness. Time for me to test your locked room.
Red truth. Ushinomiya Battler was stabbed to death. Let's say the weapon was a knife, stuck right into his back.
Good. Nothing beats a classic locked room.
Then why don't you try it too?
I'll take that challenge with the red truth. Furudo Erika was stabbed to death. The weapon was a knife, stuck right in her back.
Interesting. I'll tear your locked room to bits. What's this supposed to be? Battler is busy at the moment with other business. For now, I shall be your opponent. Beato had sealed the chapel with a locked room barrier. Unless that riddle was smashed with blue truth, Ange wouldn't be able to leave the chapel. After shrugging impatiently, Ange finally faced Beato. Is this the first time I fought you directly? Was that a question? It is. Oh, is it now? Very well. Let's see what you've got. However,
Valor isn't here at the moment. When he's not around, I sometimes forget to hold back. What a coincidence. I feel the same. I killed you inside a perfect locked room, with the windows, doors, and all other methods of entry or exit blocked. Okay, I'll play along with your game. Repetition requested.
Oh my god, I did not want that scene to be over. I really didn't. I wasn't ready yet. I want to see more, like, mystery solving. Give me 1 sec, I have to look something up real quick. Right? It was too early. Oh boy, okay. It was building up and then, yeah, rug pulled up from under our feet. That was a very long chapter, though. For just some behind the scenes tidbit, I'm trying to figure out if this is a good spot to end it or not. Or if I can go a little longer, because, you know, we do have a bit of a deadline. Self-imposed deadline, but a deadline nonetheless. I think I can... Yeah, okay, well, keep going for a little longer. And then hopefully, if I plan everything correctly, well, if I plan everything well, I can go a little longer next time as well. Alright. Yeah, good time for, you know, grabbing a quick drink. Get some food if you need it. I'm gonna get a thingy for my throat real quick. Cause, that's a thing, you know? Gotta look after all of that. Because if I don't, I will die of pain. And that's a problem. Yes, indeedy. Yeah, okay. It should be... Yep. Alright. So, it's always a bit of a balancing act between, do I go longer, or, you know, because I have to get up in the morning early to go to work. But not every Thursday. Because sometimes I work from home. And then I can just go a lot longer, and, it's a little more tricky to figure out whether to go longer or not, now that, you know, the deadline's set. Which, I'm definitely going to aim for the 5th. That's going to be the aim. Very, very important for me to finish it then. And I'm going to take the day after off, I think, if I can. So I can cry. Yes, so I can lie in bed all day and be depressed about the game ending. And the sequel not being translated yet. There was actually an announcement recently related to Umineko, and everyone was like, oh, maybe. But most people who've been in the fandom for a long time were like, it's gonna be something silly. And then some stuff was revealed, and it was like, see, this is proof it's gonna be something silly, just you watch, they're gonna announce a VTuber or something. And they did. There's a VTuber in this universe now who's a character who I will not give you any details about, partly because I guess it could be a potential spoiler, and partly because it's kind of weird, it's kind of silly. It's a meta thing, it's not super, And it's like, there's ties to Higurashi as well, and... But yeah, we were all hoping for, like, something big related to the series, but no. Sadly. Meanwhile, Higurashi's had, like, anime spin-offs and all that jazz. Umineko has one terrible season of, like, half of the whole series from years ago, and that's it. Well, Umineko has a stellar manga series. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, Higurashi is, I think, still getting more releases. Umineko did too. I mean, we got a 9th arc out there somewhere, just not in English yet. So I shouldn't complain, really, but... And there's 2 fan discs that are gonna be... Which are like, not by fans, but for fans, right? So it's like side stories. And those are gonna be included. But, I worry that it's gonna be years until we get that here. But, fingers crossed. One day. One day. But yeah, for now, I've rested my voice a little bit so I can get going again. We'll go for another 15-20 minutes-ish, I think, and then we'll call it a day. And then, you see, the public will be told that among the works entered into are the first Company X Mystery Novel Contest. A work from the amazing Hachijo was once again submitted under a false name. Of course, we'll have produced a movie version and a TV drama, all of it ready for a simultaneous and coordinated launch. I hope this makes clear how eager we are at Company X to receive your manuscript. And will there be prize money? But of course. The 10 million yen prize for Company X's first mystery novel contest will all go to you. And much more besides. Splendid. You've caught my interest. That's why I've decided not to write up a manuscript. What? Madam Hachijo, why? Everything had seemed to be going so smoothly up until then, so this sudden refusal made the people from the publishing company fall over in their sofa. This little scheme of yours is far more interesting than a manuscript I wrote, which is why this manuscript is unsuitable for your company. It was always a worthless story. Mere junk prose to entice my ignorant readers into somehow ignoring their own ignorance and feeling as though they have exhausted the limits of reasoning. I was hoping that they'd recognize the irony and laugh at their own foolishness, but it looks like you've taken it seriously. Yes. I can say I'm ashamed at my own failure as a writer. The music's great, you're right. Of course not. Please, forgive us. Please, let us use your work. And I have no need for money, but some pet food would be nice. Pet food? For your cat. There was a rumor that you had a cat who liked dried plums. Yes, as you wish. Quickly, let's have a high-quality assortment of dried plums in here. She only eats the ones that are packaged separately at 200 yen apiece. At this rate, she'll die of high blood pressure. She snacks on kimchi and spicy miso soup all the time, too. Really, there must be something wrong with that cat's tongue.
Me?
Oh, me. The cat meowed an objection from where it lay on the top of the bookshelf. I cannot give you this manuscript, but why don't I write up a new one for your company's contest? However, I won't write it under my name. It's estimated that thousands of manuscripts will be sent in for your contest. If you manage to pick out mine from the pack, and if you also find it deserving of the prize, then I would be happy to continue our discussion just now. How does that sound? Yes, of course. Just the honor of receiving your manuscript is more than enough. You people are truly amusing, fawning and cringing all the time. But I've grown weary of this today. Leave now. Meeting with the children of man can be so tiring. Thank you. We are deeply grateful for your kindness in allowing us this meeting. A servant guided the people from the publishing company to the door. In the study that was now finally quiet, Hachijo Toya let out a sigh, slumped down on the sofa, and gazed at the ceiling. It is tiring, but the stimulation of talking with a child of man isn't such a bad thing in small doses. It's good for you to talk to people every now and then. You'll go senile if you stay shut in all the time. The black cat leapt from the bookshelf and landed softly on the carpet. Then its forms silently twisted and became that of Berncastle. Indeed. They certainly can be entertaining. Inviting them over now and then may go a long way to alleviating my boredom. At any rate, I think I will write that manuscript when I feel like it. It sounds like they'll even bring a gift for you.
What's all this about pet food? How rude.
Well, that's what it is. Here. Hachijo picked up a jar from a shelf, then took a dried plum out and threw it into the air. In an instant, Berncastle turned back into a black cat, caught it in midair, and started munching away. Miss Hachijo, your guests have departed. A servant knocked on the door before making this announcement. Thank you. Let me know if that one wakes up. As you wish. Would you like some tea? No. I'm going to write for a bit. Please do not disturb me.
Yes, ma'am.
After waiting for the servant's footsteps to disappear into the distance, Hachijo moved to her desk. The desk certainly looked as though it belonged to a great writer, with pages of manuscripts scattered across it.
Even though the century's almost over, you still write with a pen?
The black cat spoke as it tore the dried plum apart with its mouth. Tales are to be written with ink. To me, that is an unbreakable rule.
So, you write it once with ink, then type the whole thing over again with a keyboard. Pretty stupid, doing the same thing twice.
In that case, why does a child of man draw up a tale in their mind, and then spit the whole thing out again on a keyboard? How foolish of them to do the same thing twice.
Look at it that way, and you're doing the same thing 3 times.
That was a good one. Even as Hachijo laughed, her fountain pen was already sliding across the page. Beautiful letters appeared almost as fast and proficiently as a typewriter. Only humans called her creations manuscripts. With her fountain pen and writing paper, she was creating a world. As she did, the hands of the clock would spin around like a top. The light and shadows that came in through the window changed their angles so fast, they might have been the hands of a clock themselves. Slowly, she drew a large X across the tightly packed words on the table, on the paper. I can read, yeah.
Having trouble?
I can't draw it out well. Writing a manuscript to please others is truly a pain. After all, I don't usually write for other people to read.
Why don't you just try taking whatever it is you're trying to say and writing that down?
Berncastle curled up on the sofa, a mocking smile on her face. Normally, whenever Hachijo was writing, Berncastle would never let herself be noticed, much less talk to her. However, realizing that Hachijo was apparently getting bored with her manuscript, Berncastle yawned and started talking.
What is it you're writing anyway?
A tale to give to a child of man.
Which child of man?
It's a tale I promised to write for Umineko, who once read for me.
Ah, you're still writing that?
What can I write that would give her satisfaction? The answer is no longer clear to me.
Looks like Awa is giving up yet again. You always promise to write a story, then get stuck before you're finished and give up.
If I had given up, I wouldn't be worrying over it like this.
There's only one tale that Ange's wanted from the beginning.
The tale of the single truth.
Ange wishes to know what happened on that day. No matter how many tales you write distorting the truth, she'll never be satisfied.
And yet, I do think my tales are far more interesting than the single truth.
Ange doesn't want an interesting tale.
I had promised that child of man that I would write a tale for her sake. So, I'm writing a tale to please her.
No matter how interesting or uninteresting it is, everything you write is an illusion. Ange doesn't want any of that. Haven't you figured that out yet?
The Book of the Single Truth was written by Ushirimiya Eva. Hidden amongst the pile of writing paper was Eva's diary. Furthermore, the one who wrote this passed away without revealing it to anyone. Being the humble writer that I am, I would like to respect that.
Don't make me laugh. Is this coming from the person who entertains herself by tearing out the guts of a tale while enjoying a glass of wine by the light of the moon?
The truth is uninteresting.
Is that your opinion after tearing apart the guts of so many tales?
You might as well say that. With a self-mocking laugh, Hachijo set down her fountain pen. I certainly have aged. The first thing age taught me was that not knowing is more precious than knowing.
That definitely sounds like something an old person would say, but I'll play along. What do you mean?
Knowing and not knowing. These two things have a one-way relationship.
True. It's possible to switch from not knowing to knowing but you can't do it the other way around.
When I realized that, I saw the noble purity resembling virginity that exists in not knowing. In my attempts to escape boredom, I've torn apart and eaten the guts of as many tales and games and tales as there are stars in the sky. But always, my relief from boredom is short-lived. It's all so fleeting that I've lost sight of the value in each individual tale.
That's right. If you eat a cat, then you only get to enjoy it for one night. But if you let it live, it might start calling you names and getting sarcastic.
Indeed. Even the annoying way they can break into your sweets cupboard or sneak into your bed can be part of their charm. Hachijiro looks around at the books covering every square inch of the room, then softly pet the cat's back. I might have been able to enjoy a single tale much longer and much more deeply. As I've eaten my way through countless tales to escape boredom, I really haven't been eating them. I've just been killing them. And in the end, they'll kill me too. Hachijiro laughed with self-derision.
Even in Beato's game, you try to tear the guts out.
I just wanted to check my answers. I did try to do it in a way that respected Beatrice, the weaver of this tale.
Yeah. I think it was pretty well read. All done so that people who didn't understand wouldn't find the answers.
Will it make for a better tale if Ange learns the truth? Or if she doesn't? To be honest, I don't know anymore. So, fully aware that you'll scorn me for it, I've decided to stop writing the rest of this tale.
What do you mean?
I won't write it. I will merely record it. The tale that Ushinomiya Ange weaves herself.
So, you're going to do that sort of thing again?
After growing tired of 1,000 years of life, I am of the opinion that deliberately choosing not to learn the truth is the more noble path. However, I now see that it isn't fair to force my opinion on Ange, who hasn't lived even 100 years.
So, you're going to leave it in Ange's care?
Yes. I will write it as it plays out.
If you're leaving it to Ange, then the future course of this tale is all but set in stone, right?
It would seem so. Let it be so. After all, in the end, a tale that a child of man weaves for herself will be more fun than any story I could create.
In that case, why don't you lend a hand in Ange's tale? You've already given yourself a role in it, haven't you?
So, it is my role to bring this tale to its conclusion.
Come on. That's no way for someone in Beato's game to talk. It's your job to tear the guts out of the cat box.
Hachijiro chuckled, pushed aside the pile of writing paper, and picked up the book of the single truth. Then, she opened a locked drawer. That is what Ange desires. Perhaps fate has decided that this book's seal is to be broken. Ange will reach the single truth. The single truth will break the seal in the cat box, and everything will be exposed to the light of day. And so, all of those countless message bottles and fragments made up of delightful imaginings which have been scattered across the ocean of the internet will fade away like foam on the sea. After all, even that one is surely tired of such fragments.
It's about time for that kid's journey to end as well.
Yes. Let us accept. Let us accept this task. Let us bring this journey to its final destination. At that moment, there were sounds of someone in the hallway. The instant someone knocked on the door, Ferncastle turned back into a black cat. Miss Hachijo, please forgive me for interrupting. It was the voice of Hachijo's servant. What is it? If it's a phone call, then tell them I'm busy. It isn't that. Toya-sama has woken up. Thank you. Prepare a light meal. Enough for the two of us. As you wish. Hachijo stood up. Then, she shut the open drawer and locked it again. Inside that drawer lay a glittering golden key. And that's where I'm gonna end it for today. And the next time we're gonna kick it off with a dramatic, intense battle. Balor versus Erika, Beatrice versus Ange. What the heck was all that about just now? No idea. I lie because I know. But we'll find out. Eventually. For now, that's going to be it for today. But we're making very good progress, so I'm very pleased with that. Also, what an amazing episode. It was so good, actually. Genuinely just so good. The fights, the drama, the tension, Ange versus Balor, and all the goats, yeah. Episode 8 is definitely one of my favorites. For a variety of reasons, and stuff like this, yeah. Love it. Good stuff. And next week, we'll get some more. Yeah, first time I read this, I also didn't expect that it would be Ange versus Balor, but oh boy, Ferncastle is good at talking Ange into shit, honestly. Or is she helping her? Who knows? We'll have to keep reading to find out. So that'll be next week. On Monday, I'm gonna be back with just a regular normal stream. I will try to get the VOD up as soon as possible. I'm a little busy the upcoming 2-3 days. So that'll probably be during or after the weekend, but it'll be up before the next stream. Yeah. That's it. I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep. As always, thank you so much for watching. Whether you're watching live right now, or if you're watching the VOD, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope to see you again next time. It's gonna be good, I promise. And have a great night, have a great day, have a great week, have a great forever. Don't feed your cat miso soup, it's way too salty. Do not. Even if they like it, I don't think that's healthy for them. I'm not super familiar, I've never had a cat for a pet, but it doesn't sound like a good idea. Don't feed your cat plums, no. I don't, maybe plums are okay, but like dried ones are, I don't know what's in those. Google it before you feed weird things to your cat. They've got food, don't worry about that. Like, there's like stuff made for cats with like science behind it and shit. Anyway. I'll see you again next time, hopefully. Probably. Because you want to know how it ends, right? I know I do, because I forgot some of it. But yes, see you then. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bye-bye.